Don't close your eyes, you do not want to miss this. It's Pavia Ross and I'm joined with Father Christmas. Yes, welcome back to another video with me, Ross Simpson, Community and Marketing Manager, and I'm joined with the one and only
Paul from Pavia.
Paul Manuel, very enthusiastic. Thank you.
It's normally a lot funnier than that.
What do you mean? How dare you? I'm always funny. Paul, thank you very much for coming onto the podcast today with us, as always. It's nice to have you here. I know you're a very busy man.
That's all right.
What's going on? What's happening, you know?
You know, loads of stuff. As per normal, it's Q2. So we are
Busy
all
month.
systems go on the roadmap.
Indeed.
What can I tell you? We got 3 key things, I would say, that we're working on this quarter. Well, definitely 3 main initiatives.
Sweet.
That would be Playground, which we talked about in the last dev update. We can talk about that again.
Big.
Obviously, Builder, which is the biggest heavy lift of all of them,
Huge.
really. And then we have the exciting mech suits for paths, which is just amazing. So, yeah, they're the 3 things. Should we go through them in that order?
Yes, please. Yeah. Talk to us about the builder. I know it's probably the most ambitious project out of all of them.
Yeah.
So how's that coming along?
Builder is coming along great. We obviously, the community know that have been following the project for a while. We gave a very early access one out with just props. We're now doing a rework of that, but introducing procedural smart objects. Watch all the other YouTubes if you want to know what that's all about. And yeah, it's great. There is, I'll probably nerd out a bit in this particular podcast on some of the things that are going on. But actually, whether it's the main game, the playground, the builder, all of them have big overlapping requirements on the back end side of things. So actually, even though they sound like they're 3 parallel initiatives and so on, actually a lot of this work, foundational work we're doing, crosses over
It's
all
all
of them.
connected, yeah.
But yeah, the builder's going really well. It's definitely the more complex piece of what we're working on at the moment, and the others are complicated in their own right. But it's going really well. We've probably, for example, we're probably having to build a lot more from the ground up than we initially thought from the first one. That's not because there was anything particularly wrong with that. It's just because we've come up with much better ways of doing things. So, for example, all the props that you would have seen in the first one,
Yeah.
some of them are kind of becoming smart in their own right. So, you know, even though it's a prop of a table, but actually it's slightly intelligent now because it knows that table has a surface, for example. The other thing we have to do is we had a lot of props, probably 4,000, something like that.
Yeah.
And we are laboriously going through every single one just to make sure it's up to scratch for the new builder. So some of them have like backface culling issues so that you can see them from one side, but they were transparent through the other.
Yeah.
So we're ditching those or fixing them. Some of them we no longer require because smart objects replace them. Yeah, so it's just a big audit going on there and tagging and lots of stuff.
Because it's a big task, and it's
massive.
It's not as simple as just adding to the already existing builder tool. Like you said, you've had to build up really from the start almost again.
Yeah, not entirely, but we learned a lot from the first one, and because of the learnings that we got from that, we've revisited how we approach some things, and it's actually become slightly bigger than we initially anticipated.
Yeah.
But it's going well. I'm very happy with the direction. So
Amazing.
All good.
And then on to the playground as
Yes.
well. Another very ambitious project. I think one that everyone in the community is looking forward to as well. Talk to me about that.
Ambitious in some senses and not in others. So we talked about it. So for anybody who's just watching this video the first time, the playground, which we have ended up calling it, is in fact just a dev environment that we had internally. It's very rough and ready. It's for us to goof around and try things, some art styles, that kind of stuff. And we just had this kind of like light bulb moment that we thought, hey, maybe we should actually let the whole community see this thing. So we've talked about it before, and that way we can build a lot more transparently with the community and they can see things. It's a win-win really, because the community gets to see some of the progress and we get feedback on things that are working on
Absolutely.
or not. But it will be rough around the edges because it's literally our dev environment and it's tiny. It's like 100, maybe between 80 and 100 plots, so it's small. But it's like a mini Pavia, if you like. It's a mini, this is okay, right? This is what Pavia could be like.
Well, big still, but in comparison to the whole map.
Oh yeah,
it is
big,
small,
but it's, I think we worked out it's 0.1% of the map or something like that. But anyway, the thing about the map, the playground, should I say, is actually it's brilliant because our golden rule internally is we aren't building stuff specifically for this playground. We are building stuff only specifically for the main game.
Right.
So we don't waste time and waste engineering effort just doing like kind of like a side project.
Yeah.
But it's actually forcing us, which is brilliant, in order we want to get this out relatively quickly, to really solve some of those foundational back-end infrastructure pieces. So the community have seen that we've redone our login system, for example. Not very sexy, but actually incredibly important from a security perspective. So the whole account creation and login system on the website, people will think of it as logging into the map right now, but in the future, think of it as logging into Pavia.
Right.
That was redone. But in addition to that, there's a whole bunch of things we're doing, like we're effectively building an API layer. So for the technical people on the call, they'll know what that is, but essentially it is a way for the game to communicate to everything that's in the cloud. And we're building our own API layer in order to abstract away from those that are working in the game development. So they don't have to worry about super complex things like blockchain, user accounts, querying the chain, querying different chains, all that kind of stuff. So there is like a team that's specialized in that. And they're doing all the crazy stuff in the cloud, and we have various databases. Again, for the technical folk, we have a Postgres, relational database, but we're going to have to migrate that to a NoSQL database. We're currently running the two in parallel, so there's a whole migration thing that is happening there behind the scenes. When we go to NoSQL, then we're having to do all of the data constructs to figure out how all the information that ultimately gets fed into the game comes down quickly. That includes building a Cardano node up there as well, so we can in milliseconds interact with the chain.
So it's instant.
It's instant. Wow. So effectively, going back to the API, the game is quite dumb in that sense, in that it goes, okay, right, I need to know something about the chain, but it doesn't actually query the chain directly. It's just going to the Pavia API. Hey, I need to know the answer to this. The Pavia API goes, I know exactly what you need to know. It does all the clever stuff in the background, gets all the answers that it needs, comes back to the game. So that construct is all being fleshed out right now, which is all a bit, if you're not interested in the tech. But if you're interested in, how does this thing scale and how's it actually going to work? And given that so much of Pavia is in the cloud and not on the client, we have to absolutely nail this stuff. And that's coming together brilliantly. So very nerdy, very foundational, but good nonetheless, and all needs to be done. Let me give a real world use case example. So token gating, for example. So we are very much, we think that's going to be a really powerful thing in Pavia. But what it means is a particular project, say it's an NFT project or something, might own a plot of land. Many of them do, which is amazing. And they might want to build out their ecosystem for their community on that land.
Yes.
They might want to invite everybody, or they might want to make a sub part of that plot, what we call token gated, which means you can only get into that area of the map if you own a certain NFT. Okay. In order for that to work really, really effectively, as you now got real-time player walking around Pavia, wants to go onto this plot of land, it's token gated. Within milliseconds, we need to go all the way back to the cloud, interrogate the chain, come back and go, yes, we know who this player is. We know what their wallet is. We know what they own. They do own the policy ID for that thing. They can come in, but almost instantly with a really nicer user experience. And we certainly plan to do that beyond Cardano as well. So for those paying attention, we have MetaMask integration. That might not be on day one. So bringing in different projects from different chains as well. So that's an example of that whole foundation working well together. And then it's a really great reminder to us actually that so many NFT projects in the Cardano ecosystem actually own land in Pavia, loads, which is brilliant. And so it's given us a really nice opportunity and a reason to touch base with all those people, how their projects are going, what their plans are to build.
That's what it's all about, the community. That's
exactly. So this thriving NFT community around Cardano, which we absolutely love, and so it's a forcing function for us to have some brilliant conversations with them about the playground and the future of Pavia. So a lot going on with the playground.
Amazing. So safe to say, there's a lot of technical stuff going on behind the scenes that is being constantly worked on. On the topic of tech, talk to me a little bit about Mech Paths. It's been a little bit quiet, so I know it's
quiet to the outside world,
coming,
maybe.
But
literally, as I'm sat here now, I'm looking at a massive whiteboard behind Ross, which I just wish I could turn the camera around and show you all.
It's so hard not to share.
But in fact, we had a real discussion today about whether we'd share some of this stuff or not. We've decided not to for the minute. But there is, some incredible artwork, all the way from the original pencil drawings all the way through to the really detailed rig that's really coming together this week. And it's been rigged from the ground up, and drawn and all the 3D art from the ground up. And we were just testing it out today in terms of its kinematics, inverse kinematics, and how it works and how it moves, and having to get it Unity ready as well. And that looks amazing. And that's like the underlying skeleton of this whole thing.
It's an amazing project that really, what's nice about working here is that when you start a project, it's never the same when you start and when you finish, right? It's gone through so many phases of design and artists and developers and things like that.
Yeah.
And this project is, I think, really special to everyone that's working here right now. And I am super excited for it to come out, when it does. And
it's super cool.
What can we say, man?
It's happening real time as I speak to you, because we are actually recording this in our main office, which we don't normally do. So I could throw a peanut and hit Adam in the back of the head. Say hi, Adam. Hello. There you go. He does exist. So Adam's our lead designer, and he's actually the driving force behind the Mech Path project. And I'm literally looking at his screen right now, and the stuff that we got to show you is so damn cool.
It's wicked.
We're super, super, super excited about that. And again, that's a Q2 initiative that's going on.
And with that, the Pavs website is also getting a complete update as well.
Yes.
Lots of new interesting stuff coming on that. So the Pavs website right now is a little bit basic. And I think, from what we've spoken about, we really want it to be just a one-stop shop for all information Pavs, right? Which means a nice database about all the Pavs, easy ways to search and to filter Pavs on the market and by traits and generations and everything like that. And then, of course, all the information about Mech Pavs will be on there also. And maybe even a little bit more lore. So who knows? Stay tuned.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And you're not committing to when that's all coming then?
No, I'm absolutely not, mate. I'll be the one to ask the questions. Thank you.
You
very
know more
much.
about that bit than I do. So yeah.
But that is everything from us today. Thank you so much for tuning in to this month's Dev Update. Please make sure to follow us, like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.